Welcome back to day 3 of the World Fly Fishing Championships. Let's call this moving day because there's been a lot of action. Guys, we've seen some really interesting results today. A lot of movement up the top of the leaderboard, both in
expected.
teams. Yep, both in teams and individuals. Tom, what do you think? What have you seen?
Yeah, I mean, the amazing thing about just competition fly fishing is how much of a difference getting a first or a second does for your team. So if for example, one of your teammates gets a blank and a couple of you get a first, which was the case for us Australians today, you can still shoot up there because getting 2 firsts and a 20 it's not so bad. It's the same as getting a couple of 7s. So you actually do really well.
Yeah, and well done on that, by the way. Amazing result getting 2 first place. Does that happen very often in competition?
It does happen sometimes. It's not common, but it does happen, of course.
Right, yeah. Well, you've certainly put yourself in a good place. And Martin, what were you seeing out there today?
I was watching the river, Mersey, today. In fact, only Mersey. And I was there with Christopher Bassano, and I walked around. And I saw a few fish in the net, a little bit of frustration, but it's all part of the game.
Yeah. Well, our feature venue today is affectionately known as Penstock. Let's see why.
Penstock Lagoon is one of Tasmania's fly-only lakes. It's very shallow, weedy, and is known for its mayfly hatches. From November onwards, you'll start seeing really good mayfly hatches. It also gets jassid beetles late in the year, it gets midging fish in the morning, it gets canid hatches. There's a lot going on. The fish in Penstock Lagoon are a combination of rainbow trout and brown trout. A lot of these fish have actually been relocated from other waters in Tasmania, so although they are wild, they didn't reproduce in that waterway, so they have been relocated there. Throughout the competition, I'd expect competitors to do everything from pull streamers to fish nymphs as well as fishing dries, so Penstock really is the wild card in the event.
So that was Penstock. Earlier in the week, we caught up with Ekis from Kiribati. Kiribati is a nation not commonly known for trout because they don't have any. The Kiribati team had a grand total of 1 person trout fish before they came over to Tasmania. Let's have a look at how they've been going.
Where I come from, that's my job, fishing guide, almost every day. So, bone fishing and GGs, triggers, that's all. There's nothing like this. Anyway, we don't have fresh water, so it's very exciting. It's quite different the way we fish because there are some ways that really different because on strippings and the way we look for them, because the bonefish we always sight for them. We go sight fishing for them. It's not our water, so we'll try the best we can do. I mean, like the weather, cold, wow. Buildings, roads, because from where we come from, there's nothing like this. Our island is flat. There's no mountain. Fishing here is very, it's cold, so I got to fish. I'm very cold.
So as you can see, the Kiribati team are largely fish out of water, I guess you'd say. Guys, Penstock, let's get into the business end. What did we see out there today? I can see David Garcia moved up quite a bit.
Yeah, big move, helping the Spanish. Spanish are moving up as we expected them to do. Getting second helps big time. The numbers have gone down. I think 10 fish won it yesterday, and now we're looking at 7s winning it.
I think first day it was 12 or something.
First day, yeah, something like that. So the numbers are dropping off there.
And why do we think numbers are dropping off?
I'm guessing dirty water.
Right.
It gets dirty. Usually it's the other way around because, during the competitions, the informations, the teams spend the information, so they know a little bit more how to fish it. And so usually the numbers of the fish are increasing a little bit, but this time is the other way around because the wind and it just makes the lakes dirtier,
Right.
and the fishing is getting tougher.
Yep. And you were saying before, to the point of Penstock, that it can be a little bit hit and miss on Penstock.
Can be hit and miss, and if you look at the results there, they may not be on screen, but between 5th and 10th place in that session, they all actually caught 5 fish. So the only thing dividing those competitors there was size. So the size of the fish did come into it, and some days you can just be lucky and nail a couple of big browns. If you caught some of the rainbows there, they're smaller, you're probably going to end up lower down on the list, so a bit chancy in that bit as well there.
Right, so it really can be a bit of a wild card
Yeah, definitely.
location. Yep.
But we are still happy to catch them anyway, even they are smaller.
And the Meander River today, as we predicted earlier in the week, numbers on the rivers are starting to come down, and we're not quite seeing that step change in the higher beats versus lower beats, and the numbers are starting to meet in the middle a little, aren't they?
Yeah, it's still quite about the draw. The draw is important, and who fished there before you. But as I said, the beat number 1, which won the session twice, it's been fished by John Nishi from Canada, and he caught only 2 fish. He's a good fisherman, good angler, but the beats are
pressured.
Yep, pressured.
When you're on the way to the rivers, whether it be the Mersey or the Meander, the most nerve-wracking time of the whole day is when you're sitting on the bus about to get off and the envelope's getting open, you're finding out your
Waiting
draw.
for the beat.
Because
yeah.
that moment when your draw comes out, you can only catch what's in front of you. So when you get your beat, your fate is almost sealed to a degree. So you really need the good draw.
Yeah, and I certainly witnessed that watching Jonathan Stagg on the Meander today, because he was working that river over and he obviously knows it well. And,
You got 7 fish.
Yeah, in the end, it's a challenge to really get that next level of result from some of those beats.
Yeah, and again, you look up top there, Sebastien Delcourt, amazing angler from France, and no surprise that they're up there. And France, like Spain, are now moving up, and they're closing at the top of the leaderboard in the teams division as well.
And we can see, in fact, very similar scenario like almost every year. France, Czech, Spain. But
And
we are not at the end yet.
you're forgetting Australia, of course. So let's move on to the next venue,
They are there.
Woods. So you were saying earlier, Tom, that Woods Lake is a place you've got to take your chances on.
Yeah, the feel of Woods Lake is it's been surprising how low the numbers are, because this is the lake we expected to have the highest number of fish caught off it. And it hasn't played like that. The weather's shut them down big time. They're not really doing what they're meant to be doing there. And it seems from talking to a lot of the anglers, being on the bus around the traps, you're hearing that all anglers are finding fish, but it's just whether you get those fish to stick. Everyone's getting a number of chances for the session, and if you manage to get a few good fish to eat the fly really well, you're going to get 3 takes and land 3 fish, or 5 takes and land 5 fish, and you've won the session. But for some people, you could hook 3 fish and lose them. The fish are quite tentative, they're touchy, so it does make it hard. So a bit hit and miss, and you really have to take those chances there.
And we're also seeing a growing number of blanks.
Few blanks, yeah. Expected, again, dirty water and tough conditions, so...
And we're seeing some really good... This is the first time that the Czechs haven't won Woods.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you see Vojta Unger there from Czech Republic, and he
one
only managed
fish.
to 1 fish. So
Yeah.
you see that a team that's been dominating there can
Only
struggle
one,
as
but
well.
I think, I'm sure he was happy to catch that one.
Yeah.
And on the Mersey River, Christopher Bassano, I guess you would say, finally had a good day. He's had some challenging days, and on his home turf, he's actually got a good result on water that's starting to get pressured, and he really pulled a few fish out, didn't he?
That's right. I saw it not whole session because I was just walking around to see the others. But like half an hour before the session ends, he got only 2 fish. He had only 2 fish in the scoring card.
Right.
And he just smashed them in last half hour. It
And
was awesome. It was
is that a
awesome.
case where not just Christopher, but any fisherman saves certain water that they know is probable to hold more fish?
The beats are so long, so I don't believe that any fisherman fish it properly, all the way up or all the way down.
Right.
So it's just necessary to keep fishing very carefully and try to find that
Honey hole.
honey hole.
And that's an awesome result as well, because we've talked about it on day 2 that the Mersey, you really don't want to draw after someone who's caught a lot of fish.
Yep.
Because that means that beat is probably not going to have many catchable fish there left for you. And Christopher drew after Spain on the first session, who caught 14 off that beat.
And
so
England 12 or 10 or something.
yeah, so yeah, to pick up 10 off that's really good effort.
Yeah, that's good.
And we can see Pierre Kuntz is there as well from France, and another great result, which is really starting to push that.
Yeah,
that
France
way.
pushing up. And then if you go further down, you can see Czech and Spain 11th and 12th. It just shows you, like, even the best in the world, both of those competitors. Pavel's a world champion and Jordi's a silver medalist in 2016 in Colorado. Mm-hmm. You see how the best in the world can still, fall down at a bad beat.
Now the venue that's really, I guess, causing people the most trouble, but it was also the venue that potentially could decide the entire thing.
Yeah, Little Pine.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, Little Pine's always the lake, and when the Commonwealths were here in 2012, Little Pine's always a lake that international people struggle on. It's just a bit different. So this was always going to be a sector that teams need to get a hold of and get good results on, because they're just tough. It's a really tough lake, and we've seen the numbers have dropped off massively since day 1. The water's getting dirty, it's getting really windy. There's so much pressure on the good areas with all the boats, so it's hard to catch your fish there.
And only good fishermen can succeed.
Which clearly you are, Tom, because you won't say it, but we will. Congratulations on coming first today.
Thank you.
Excellent result, and you certainly streeted the rest of the field today, so very impressive, don't you think, mate?
Very, very.
The thing I will say about that was it looks good on paper, but I was very fortunate to not lose many fish. And I mean, if you had, for example, 8 takes and you landed 8 fish, someone could have been out there and had 8 fish on and only landed 3, and it doesn't look as good on paper. So you always need the luck to make sure those fish stick and land. So.
And yet again, we see the French with
Spain,
Sebastian and the Spanish with David Arquet.
And then Czech
really
again.
pushing those results up, and then the Czechs, yeah. So the teams you would expect, as you keep saying, Martin. And for the first time this week, we're going to go into the overall aggregate results for the individuals. So still leading the charge is Australia's Jonathan Stagg. He had an average day, would that be fair to say, as far as, numbers, but...
Yeah. He did well off a beat that had been hit pretty hard on the meander, and did well to catch. I think he caught 7 fish.
7, yep.
Fish on it. It was a pocket water beat, so it's kind of obvious where the fish are because they're going to be behind the rock. Yep. So when a good angler's been through that water first, you're going to struggle. The fish are going to be a bit touchy. I think Howard Croston won the session off that beat, or came second on that.
He was high. He was quite high.
I think that was the way. And Jonathan did say he felt that those fish were particularly touchy. So he did really well to get.
So impressive result.
David Garcia Ferreras, current champion from last year from Italy. So he's up there.
And any other, I guess Pavel would be someone you'd look to for form over previous years as well.
Yeah. And Howard Croston, he's up there as well. He's very good. And last championships, he had a little bit of bad luck in last sessions. So he's...
And the thing to note with this is you see there's so much congestion in the point placings. This can change so much. Even when you get down to places, or let's say places 14 through to 23, there's only five points in it, and you can make that up in one session. That's the difference between coming, say 3rd and 11th. So it can be made up really quickly. So it's just super tight and congested this early.
Yeah. So it still ain't over. And moving on to the team results after session 3. Very interesting result from a locals point of view. Australia has moved up 2 places, I think, from 3rd yesterday to 1st, which has bumped. Sorry, Martin,
it's okay.
you don't get to brag tonight.
I'm still happy.
Still happy enough?
It could finish like this.
Yeah,
I
fair enough.
It can finish like this. Let's keep it that way.
It's up to you.
And the biggest movers of the day are France, really, and we talked about it earlier across several of the locations, but you know, there's consistency across the board. They're really starting to play out, and of course Spain as well, which are pushing some of the others like England down.
Yeah, and if you look at that top, let's say the top 6 there, they're pretty much the teams. I think when I looked at the start, and I was thinking they're the big
They'll be
movers.
there.
Like they're the ones that'll be in the mix, and they're very much there already. You saw Spain, France had a tough first day, but they're the best in the world, those anglers, and it doesn't take them long to work it out.
Adapt.
Yeah, like, I mean, at the end of the day, trout to trout, wherever they are in the world, it takes a little bit of time for them to adjust, but they're right there now.
Well, the competition's really starting to warm up. I can tell you I've got my thongs on because it's getting really hot in here. Thanks for joining us on Fly Life TV. See you tomorrow.